Emergence Day, Gears of War's devastating surprise attack introduced humanity to its true enemy. For nearly a century, the nations of the planet Sarah were locked in a devastating global conflict over a liquid energy source called emulsion. But just 6 weeks after that war ended, a new one began. A race of monstrous reptilian creatures called the Locust Horde erupted from underground, slaughtering a quarter of the human population in a single day. In a final, desperate act, the human government turned its most powerful orbital weapons on its own cities to deny them to the Locust, incinerating their own civilization. The only survivors are those who live within the walls of a few fortified cities, policed by the Kogi army. In the end, Syrah is a ruin, the vast majority of humanity is dead, and its last soldiers are muscle bound warriors fighting a losing generational war on their own shattered homeworld. The Great War. Fallout's 2 hour nuclear apocalypse ended the world as we know it. In 2077, after years of a brutal resource war, the United States and China launched their entire nuclear arsenals at each other. The ensuing firestorm scorched the planet, annihilated nations, and created a radioactive wasteland. A fraction of the American population was saved in massive underground vaults, which were advertised as shelters by the Vault Tech Corporation. In reality, most vaults were cruel social experiments designed to test humanity under extreme and bizarre conditions. The player character is often a survivor who emerges from one of these vaults decades or centuries later. They step out into a world where bottle caps are currency, mutated monsters roam the land, and the unmutated humans have formed violent tribal societies fighting over the scraps of a dead civilization. The Scourge of the Beast, Bloodborne's defining plague, was born from a supposed cure. The city of Yharnum was famed for its healing church, which used a miraculous substance called the Old Blood to heal any disease. But the Old Blood was discovered in the tombs of ancient godlike beings, and it carried a terrible curse. It slowly and horrifically transformed those who used it into insane blood-crazed beasts. The city fell into a perpetual night of madness, where hunters armed with trick weapons would stalk the streets to put down those who succumbed. One such hunter arrives in Yharnum seeking a cure of their own, only to be bound to a dream world that perpetuates the hunt. Ultimately, Yharnum is a corpse, its miracle was a poison, and the only way to escape the nightmare is to slay the very cosmic gods whose blood caused the plague in the first place. The Horus Heresy. Warhammer 40,000's most catastrophic civil war was also its most tragic. The Emperor of Mankind, after uniting Earth, launched a great crusade to reclaim the galaxy, led by his 20 genetically engineered sons, the Primarchs. His most beloved son, Horus, was named Warmaster, but was corrupted by the forces of chaos. He turned half the legions of Space Marines against their brothers in a galaxy-spanning war that culminated in a direct assault on Earth itself. The war was so devastating, it killed trillions and shattered the Emperor's dream of a secular enlightened empire. In the final battle, the Emperor defeated Horus, but was mortally wounded in the process. In the end, Horus is dead. The Emperor is interred within the Golden Throne, a life support machine that consumes 1,000 souls a day, and the Imperium of Man has devolved into a superstitious, totalitarian nightmare, locked in a hopeless war against aliens, mutants, and the very demons that started it all. The Prothean extinction, Mass Effect's ancient galactic genocide, was the systematic annihilation of the galaxy's most advanced civilization. The Protheans ruled the galaxy 50,000 years ago, but they were wiped out by the Reapers, a fleet of sentient, starship-sized machines that hibernate in dark space. The Reapers exist to harvest any organic civilization that becomes advanced enough to discover interstellar travel, preserving them in a grotesque, organic synthetic form while resetting the galactic slate. The Protheans fought back, but the Reapers were unstoppable, conquering world after world over centuries until nothing was left. One of the last Protheans, Javik, managed to survive in a stasis pod. When he is awakened in the modern era, he is a living fossil, a warrior whose entire species and culture have been reduced to dust. In the end, the Prothean Empire is a ghost. Their advanced technology is a misunderstood relic, and their final warning is a desperate echo across time that almost no one believed until it was too late. The Shattering. Elden Ring's foundational event broke the very laws of reality. The Elden Ring, the source of the golden order that governed the world, was shattered by an unknown party. Its fragmented pieces, the great runes, were claimed by Marika, the Eternal Queen's demigod children. The lust for the power of these runes drove each of them to madness and sparked a massive war across the lands between. The war was a stalemate of mutual destruction that left the entire land in a state of cursed, stagnant ruin, with no victor. The Greater Will, the outer god that established the order, abandoned the world. You are a tarnished, one of an exiled people called back to the lands between by the long lost guidance of grace. Your goal is to slay the mad demigods, reunite the great runes, and become the new Elden Lord, deciding the fate of a world that has already fallen apart. The Despair Event. Danganronpa's global tragedy was literally the end of the world caused by high school students. A student at Hope's Peak Academy named Yunko Enoshima, who possessed the talent of ultimate analyst, became pathologically bored with hope and predictability. She orchestrated a series of events, including brainwashing her own classmates into becoming the ultimate despair, a terrorist organization dedicated to spreading misery. They broadcasted a student council killing game, which, combined with other manipulated events, plunged the entire world into a spiral of violence, chaos, and anarchy. Nations collapsed, societies crumbled, and humanity nearly destroyed itself in the name of despair. The only hope left was a small group called the Future Foundation, which initiated the killing school life with Yunko's non despair influenced classmates, hoping that forcing them to find hope in a murderous game would somehow be the key to saving the world. The Red War. Destiny 2's primary conflict was a direct assault on the Guardian's very source of power. Gaul, the leader of the Cabal's Red Legion, believed the Traveler, the giant sentient sphere that gave humanity its golden age and its light, had chosen the wrong race to bless. He led a surprise attack on the last city, encasing the Traveler in a massive cage that severed the connection between it and every Guardian, rendering them mortal. With humanity's immortal protectors powerless, the Red Legion occupied the city with ease. The player, one of the only guardians to regain their power through a shard of the Traveler, is forced to flee and embark on a journey to rally the scattered vanguard leaders. In the end, the last city was nearly destroyed, humanity's god was imprisoned, and its saviors were stripped of their immortality, forced to experience fear and final death for the first time. The Black Plague. A Plague Tale's signature curse was far more than a disease. In 14th century France, a teeming, endless horde of rats emerged from the ground, consuming everything in their path and spreading the Black Death. This was no natural phenomenon. The rats were a unified, malevolent entity controlled by a supernatural force called the Prima Macula, which was dormant in the bloodline of certain noble families. The Inquisition, a fanatical religious order, seeks to weaponize this power. The story follows Amicia de Rune as she protects her 5-year-old brother Hugo, in whom the macula has awoken. In the end, France is being devoured by both the Inquisition and a literal tide of flesh-eating rats, and the only thing holding back the apocalypse is a young girl and her cursed little brother.